Can we first begin with what exactly you saw on campus and how you would like to see this addressed in the days moving forward?
Sure. First of all, I have to say it was very difficult for us to get on campus, and there were lots of people who were standing outside of the gates in the campus who were trying to get on, some who looked like they had business on the campus, others who did not. When we got on the campus, we had a chance to talk to some Jewish students before we went on campus. They talked about how difficult this has been for them, how intimidating, what a hostile environment has been created. And it's been particularly difficult for students walking by themselves through campus to get to the library, to get to dorms. And it really is quite intimidating. When we walked on the campus, we saw the risers that are being set up for graduation, which clearly is an issue of huge concern. And then we saw, I would say, almost half of the main quad that has been turned into a tent city with tents all over the place, tightly packed in, many signs, people giving instructions for what the protesters should be doing, should be saying. And while we were there, people were relatively quiet. After we walked out of the quad to get to our next stop, we started to hear the chants, and you could hear the shouting and the chanting blocks and blocks away. So it was quite loud, quite disruptive. In fact, I talked to one student who is a law student trying to study for her final exams with all the shouting going on in the background. And she said it's been very, very difficult to study and disconcerting. And if you listen to the chants, they weren't chants we heard on campus, but chants I've seen on the videos. They are ugly, they are anti-Semitic, they are focusing on not just getting aid to Gaza. Certainly, I didn't hear anybody protesting to get the hostages released, but there are phrases I heard about, frankly, destroying the state of Israel and killing Israelis. And that is very distressing in these times.
Congresswoman, the Speaker of the House is going to Columbia tomorrow. Mike Johnson is going to be meeting with Jewish students and will deliver remarks after. We understand he will not only deliver a speech, but will take questions. Do you support the Speaker getting involved like this, and what role could he play in bringing people together here?
I think it's very important for members of Congress, particularly somebody in the Speaker's position, to see firsthand what's going on college campuses and how disruptive it is, how much discrimination and harassment there is, and he can play a big role. I filed a bipartisan bill. It's the same bill we introduced on a bipartisan basis in the House, and it was introduced in the Senate by my colleague Jackie Rosen. It would take a broad approach to addressing anti-Semitism on college campuses, in K through 12 schools, online, and would establish a special official in the Department of Education to advise the secretary on anti-Semitism, to make sure that claims that are being filed are properly adjudicated on a timely basis, and would also establish a national coordinator in the White House to make sure that all our agencies are doing what's necessary to address anti-Semitism. The role the Speaker could play, he could bring my bill to the House and get a vote, and we could really make progress and move forward.
Well, I guess, Congresswoman, we will see if he does indeed do that. What he did do, though, was bring a series of bills to the House floor for a vote this past weekend. They all passed, and now the Senate looks on track for final passage tonight of this $95 billion foreign aid package. How much credit do you give the Speaker here? And is he worthy of potential Democratic protection if indeed one of his Republican colleagues decides to move on a motion to vacate?
I have to start by giving credit to Hakeem Jeffries, our leader on the Democratic side. I think Hakeem was instrumental in convincing the Speaker to get those bills to the floor. We obviously wish that those bills had gone to the floor quite a while ago. It's been particularly difficult for Ukraine. They are literally running out of ammunition. And the Ukraine bill, the Senate passed a good bill quite a while ago that should have come to the House floor. Unfortunately, one of the presidential candidates didn't want to solve the problems. He wanted to run on those problems. So I give Hakeem Jeffries enormous credit for working to get those bills to the floor. And certainly Democrats were there not only helping to pass the rule, which is the first step to getting the bill to the floor, but helping to pass the bill. I do give the Speaker credit in that he worked with Leader Jeffries to make sure that we could get those bills to the floor and get them passed.
I presume that presidential candidate you're referring to is not RFK Jr., Congresswoman. Does Donald Trump run the House right now? Is he in charge of the Republican majority?
No. I believe that Donald Trump, when his word goes out, there are many Republicans who pay careful attention to it. There are some who are trying to do the right thing, but unfortunately, they're in the minority.